Okay.
Yeah.
First question.
First question. Hey, crazies. You gave us your quarantine questions. Well, I asked for them and you gave us your quarantine questions, and we're going to answer them today. For those of you who don't know, this is my wife, Emily, also known as Awkward Em.
Hello.
And this is basically a couples Q&A. We're going to answer some questions together. So let's get to it.
Here we go.
How are you? Like, generally?
How am I generally? I feel like you really have to add like today onto that question.
Sure.
How are you today? Today I'm okay. Yesterday I was tired. You know, it varies from day to day.
Yeah, occasionally I'll have a mental or emotional breakdown.
Yes.
There's bad days and good days. You know, we make it through though.
Right. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the long-term effects of the virus situation on universities/colleges, including effects on non-permanent employees? What's in the future? I don't know if they're going to have... I mean, people are saying that all the universities and colleges are going to want to switch over to, online teaching or something, but I don't think that anyone will really stand for that.
Yeah, I think long term, everything's going to go back to normal. Yeah. But I think the real question is just how long is it going to take to get to that point? I know that one of the schools that I teach at has already committed to online classes for the fall. So I know that they're already planning for that semester.
Right.
While necessary, they'll stay online, but I'm sure that it'll go back to normal once the pandemic's over. Because if there's one thing that teachers have, it's a real strong belief in whatever their teaching philosophy is, and they will die by that philosophy.
You still need that connection, right? I mean, the teacher-student relationship is all about forming a connection with someone so that you can learn. It's about having there be an environment, and not a lot of people can teach themselves things.
Yeah, that was a really big thing with my students this semester. The majority of students want in-person classes, and they will do the online class because we have extenuating circumstances, but even the students often prefer in-person classes. Obviously, not all students. Online classes exist for a reason. People take them, right? But overall, we're going to go back to normal. Yeah. It's going to be fine.
This is not going to have any long-term repercussions, I don't think.
Maybe just financially.
Right.
Who knows?
Do you play video games together or any other fun activity you perform together?
We play one or two video games together.
Yeah, Mario Kart for sure.
It's definitely our favorite. We like a good Lego
video game.
Lego video game, yep. So we have Harry Potter for the Switch right now. That's fun. My favorite was the...
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. For those. Is that for the Wii U?
Yeah, I think it was for the Wii U.
That was a good one. We also like to play board games together as well. Card games. Mm-hmm. Racco.
Yeah.
Particular favorite.
Racco's big. I like Yahtzee.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
I don't love Yahtzee, but I will play it if he wants to.
She tolerates Yahtzee.
I like things like Scattergories or Taboo, but those are a little stressful for him, and he doesn't like that.
It's a little too much pressure. Mm-hmm. Although my favorite part of Yahtzee is getting to add the points up at the end.
That's true.
Such a nerd.
Yeah. Ooh, puzzles.
Oh yeah, we love puzzles.
We do. We don't do them very often because once we start it, we just get sucked in for the next 3 days until it's done, So it's typically over breaks during the summer, Christmas, whatever.
Yeah, and you're officially done with the semester, so...
Hallelujah.
We're due for a puzzle, I think.
I think we are. Yes, it's that time.
How many people do you think are lying to themselves about their couple life?
I don't think they're lying to themselves. I think that they believe the things that they are saying. I think the big issue here is how society preps you for relationships and marriage. What society tells you is that it's going to be hard and you're going to fight all the time, and that kids are wonderful and the best thing that you could ever do. And then they just send you out there. And so then you find someone that you fight all the time with, and it's really hard to be in a relationship with them.
Yeah.
But they say, hey, that's what relationships are. That's what marriage is. You just got to work through it. And so I think that a lot of people end up in relationships that aren't actually very good for them because they've always been told that this is what relationships are.
Right.
And I'm sure that you do have those feelings. I'm not saying that it's a mistake to have kids, but I'm saying that I don't think people are prepped for the horror show that is raising children. You know what I mean?
There is no prep for that.
And then how much pressure it puts on your relationship with your spouse as well. I mean, I think that it's okay to tell people that marriage shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't be hard. And you shouldn't fight all the time. And if that's the situation in which you find yourself, then I think you've been listening to society's lies more than anyone else's.
You believe that, like, well, this is the best it's ever going to be because, like, this is what it's supposed to be. You're never going to have this life where you're just happy all the time. And then occasionally, someone like us, where we're happy almost all of the time.
I mean, it's not perfect, obviously.
Right, nothing's perfect, but...
We fight the minority of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
The vast minority. Right. In fact, most of the fights we've ever had were during quarantine.
That's true. It's so hard.
In the last couple of months, it's been very difficult. But before that, we fought one time maybe?
Maybe.
We're just...
Like an actual fight. I'm not saying we don't disagree on things, but I don't understand why disagreeing on something has to result in the fight about it. You know what I mean?
That actually relates to another question I've got on here. How do you resolve conflict if it ever occurs between you two, given the fact that you're both rational thinkers?
It never occurs between us.
Like she said, we disagree on things. That's just natural when you've got two people living in the same household. But, you know, you try and sit down and you have a rational conversation about it. And
I think the first thing that I try and do is recognize, why am I upset right now? You know, being the rational thinker. And so what's often very helpful is to just like separate yourselves. Because you can start feeding off of each other in a pretty unhealthy way. And so if you just separate and like just take a moment to relax and like get yourself under control, figure out what am I upset about? And then once you know like this is what got to me, then you can like...
come back like 15, 20 minutes later or something.
Yeah. And I can be like, this is what it was. And then he can acknowledge that he was wrong. And then we can...
What I need to do, like, it's really easy to get angry at someone for doing something and like take it in the worst possible way. And you just got to try and remember that most of the time, other people are not trying to be jerks to you. You know, and they didn't do what they did to be malicious to you, probably.
Hopefully. The person you're in a relationship with is not being malicious.
If they are being malicious, you need to just get out.
Right.
Generally speaking, the other person is probably not being malicious to you. And so you've got to like go into a conversation with that in mind, regardless of how it might feel. And it's okay to feel like you're being attacked or whatever. Like you can't necessarily control your feelings. Your feelings are real and they're there. But even if your feelings are there and they're real, they're not necessarily reality.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe the biggest thing that helps us to have a good relationship is the fact that you don't get defensive when I get upset about something. And so I can come to you and be like, you said this or you did this and this is the way that it made me feel. And your reaction is not, well, you did this and so therefore I am justified. You know what I mean? So that you can take that and be like, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry that happened. It's not the way that I intended it. And I'll try not to do that next time, you know, is a huge thing that I think that a lot of relationships are missing. And I'm not saying I'm good at it, but at least he's good at it. And it makes a difference.
Yeah. You try to move forward and say, okay, well, if we run into this situation again, how can we handle it better next time? Mm-hmm. I guess I would like to add one more thing to that. I think that, you know, especially like during lockdown or quarantine or whatever it's being called where you're living, you want to make sure that you remember that it's a very stressful time for everyone. And that sort of thing is it's gonna magnify all of your neuroses. Everything that's like this little thing that just annoys the other person just a little bit, it's gonna annoy them a lot and you're gonna be doing it a lot more than usual.
That's true.
And so that's something to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. What does Emily know about you and your passions that we do not know?
He's very passionate about things being organized and tidy. I don't know if you know that about him, but that's a real big thing for him. When we first started dating, it might have even been pre-dating, I don't even know. He came over to my house one night and I just had a pile of important papers. Whenever I had an important paper, I just put it in the pile knowing that I needed to keep it, but not knowing what to do with it. So I was like, these are all of my important papers. Can you do something with this? And he organized them all into stacks and piles and dates and everything. And it was lovely and beautiful. He's very good at that.
How often do you travel?
How often do you travel? Once a year, I'd say. Twice a year would be an exceptional year. We have done it. It is unusual.
2018?
2016.
Well, VidCon was 2018, right?
Was it? What else did we do that year?
ThinkerCon.
Ah, you're right. You're right.
So we did two trips. Mm-hmm. Drove both of them, by the way.
Because that's what we do when you're from Michigan. You drive places.
Yeah. ThinkerCon was in Huntsville, and we looked up the time that it would take to drive, and it was 10 or 11 hours or something, and we're like...
About 10 hours.
That's less than 24. We can make it.
Yeah. Why get on a plane when you can just drive there in 10 hours, right?
Does Nick look at normal daily things with a scientific perspective?
Yes. Obvious answer. We both do that with TV shows all the time. If our field ever comes up in a TV show, it's just the big eye roll. That's not real. That's not how it happens. So we're both definitely guilty of that.
Yeah. You can't just throw the word quantum on everything. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. It's not how it works.
You also particularly love reverse the polarity.
Oh.
That's a good one. Oh, equations. There'll be equations up on a board, and he's like, that's not even relevant to what they're talking about. You know what I mean? That's aerodynamics.
Right.
Or whatever.
But I'm really pleased when a board actually matches what they're talking about, and I'm sure that's because they got some kind of scientific advisor on the team to do the board for them, which does happen, and I really appreciate when that happens. And I can just be like, that equation is actually relevant to what they're talking about.
He literally says that. It's just like that. Front row seat, folks.
Oh, what was the thing recently? It was the brain part, right?
Oh, the memory cells?
Yeah.
We were watching Fringe, if you've ever watched Fringe. The whole premise of the show is that they can do things that are not scientifically available. So I acknowledge that that's kind of where they're coming from to begin with, but they had this whole episode where they were transferring memories from one person to the other person. And the way that they were doing it was using B cells, the memory cells specifically. So for any of you that understand your immune system, we have white blood cells, and one of those types of white blood cells are B cells. They help to fight infections, and they make memory cells that are then available to help fight that infection if it ever comes back into your body again. It remembers the invader, the specific bacteria or virus, so that it can attack it later. It has nothing to do with your memories in your brain. Yeah, that was a bad one, using the memory cells. I know it has the word memory in it, but that's not what it's used for,
Do your breakfast conversations include physics or biology or other subjects?
If it was up to Nick, we would discuss science all the time.
Yeah.
I don't like to...
She can only handle so much at a time.
It's true. After breakfast, usually not. I mean, that's a lot to start your day with, I'm just trying to,
wake up.
Yeah. Do we really need to, dive in at breakfast? Yeah. Can it wait until lunch? I mean... George sounds like a morning person.
Yeah. George and Eleanor are definitely morning people.
Right.
Let's see, one more. What do you guys like and dislike the most about each other?
That's a rough question, guys.
Yeah. Putting us in dangerous territory here.
Well, let's make it quarantine related, because here we are, right? We said earlier that quarantine brings out all your worst traits, right? What I'm struggling with is that he's a major germphobe, which is not the best trait to have in the middle of a pandemic. They say that it's only paranoia if it's not true. And so that's kind of just what's happening, where it used to be paranoia, but now it's not, because now it's true. And so that just takes everything to a whole different level of justification. And so that can be difficult to deal with day after day after day of the pandemic. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's a dislike. What do you like the most about me?
I thought it was a dislike.
No, it's both.
Oh, is it?
Yep. Like and dislike.
Like and dislike. Well, great. Okay. One of my favorite traits about you has always been your dependability, reliability. I always know that bills are going to get paid I always know that if you say something, I can trust you on that, no matter what it's in reference to. Also, I always know how you're going to react to any given situation because you react the same way every single time. And so I can look at a situation and know, oh, Nick's not going to like that, or Nick is going to like that, or whatever. And it makes life predictable. And I know that a lot of people don't like predictable, but personally, I like predictable.
That's nice. I think what I like the most about you is that you always participate in my weirdness. If I'm doing some really ridiculously weird thing, and this only happens at home because this is not something that comes up in public. Everybody does weird things at home, right?
Right.
Right? But I'll be doing something weird and she'll just like start doing it with me and she'll be like, okay, we're doing this. Okay, she doesn't even know why I'm doing it. She'll just like jump in and start doing it too. A weird dance or a weird noise that I'm making or something like that. I love that. Dislike. This one's tough.
I'm gonna be scarred for life after this, guys. Thanks a lot.
I don't like that she can out-stubborn me. She gets super headstrong about certain things, and she will out-stubborn me till the end of the universe on them, and it drives me insane. But yeah, I think that's probably the worst thing.
That was kind.
So I think those are the best questions out of the options that I had. If you have any more, feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I'll try and answer some of them. We'll do this again for sure. These Q&As seem to be pretty popular. Hopefully I can con her into doing another one.
We'll see.
But until then, have a good rest of your quarantine, and I'll see you in the comments. Bye.
Bye.
I mean, the first thing that came to mind was that you have that frickin' Ninja blender that I hate. I hate cleaning the Ninja blender. I hate it.
That's true. Man, the blender knows how to blend up ice, though. It gets the job done.